Good afternoon, everyone from Mobile, Alabama. For myself, I'm getting ready for a 3-day meditation retreat. But before we get started, I figure I would hop on and say hello to all of you. The question that I got asked recently or yesterday was, what was the most challenging part for myself in the monastery? And for me, if I had to reflect, would probably be the schedule. And the schedule in the monastery can be quite intimidating and challenging because coming from California, I had all the freedom in the world. I had my own business. I controlled my own schedule. I had my dance rehearsal, and with my car, I can go anywhere I wanted to. I can sleep at any time I wanted to. And going into the monastery, that was completely different. And the schedule was just so strict. Our day, typically in the morning, the wake-up call was, I believe, at 4:20. We get ready to start chanting at 5 o'clock, and then that leads into meditation. After that, we then do our alms rounds, we do our chores, we have our breakfast, and then we come back to meditate again. And meditation is also synchronized with the Dhamma teaching, and we had this 4 times a day. So that was early in the morning, it was after breakfast, it was around 2 p.m. after lunch. So you can imagine after having a big lunch, it being very hot, how that can be challenging. And then also at the very end of the day, and by this time, it also came with another challenge, because after a long day, the last thing you want to do is sit through our Dhamma talk, and then also followed by meditation. But the schedule for me was okay in the beginning, maybe the first week or so. But around week number 3, I have to be honest, but the schedule just got too much. And I remember one specific time where it was after lunch, and I went to the meditation class, and I didn't want to go, and I was just not in the mood. We just literally finished meditation earlier, so mentally for myself, I was just not, 1, in the mood, and 2, not prepared to go. My focus, my energy was completely somewhere else. And it was just so challenging and unbearable to sit through it. And I remember I would have to get out of my seat. I would go outside and I would just throw a tantrum. Anyone who would walk past, I would tell them, I can't do this. This is just too much. I don't want to sit. This is not fun, and I just don't want to do it. And again, that next couple days for me was just even more challenging, and it got more stressful. And I would complain to my brother monks, I would complain to my peers, and I would complain to my mentor. And of course, at that time, my mentor supported me. He listened, and then he told me to go back to class. So that didn't work. But for myself, then I was just throwing a tantrum. And again, I didn't want to sit. Coming as a Westerner, we're entitled, and we're used to getting our way. We're used to negotiating. So that's what I did. And for me, I went to talk to the more senior monks. And again, they listened to me. They validated my feelings and go back to class. And that did not work. So I had to step it up. And for me, I gathered my brother monk and I said, hey, how are you holding up? Because for me, I'm dying here and I'm struggling and I don't know if I can do this. Can you come with me to talk to the teaching monk? And we tried to come together, talk to the teaching monk, and Let's see if we can negotiate this deal, and maybe they can change the schedule for us. And as you can imagine, we marched in there, we did our thing, and of course, it was not successful. The schedule for them was very set, and go back, sit down, and continue to meditate. However, for me, I did try my best. I did try to go in there, but I just can recall that experience of being there and you have no control. You're trying to negotiate. You're trying to cling to anything possible for them to adjust and adapt. And they did not budge whatsoever. And for me, then I kept getting more desperate. And I felt like a child at a supermarket, a young child who was just throwing a tantrum. But again, they were so strict, it was disciplined, and I did not get my way. And it just reminds me of when I was working as a therapist in a drug treatment center. When my clients come into the residential treatment center, they're detoxing from substances, and I can see for them they're just jumping out of their skin. And for me, that was the feeling that I experienced. For me, I feel like the monastery was similar, but yet it's a spiritual detox. And every single part of myself was fighting against that over and over and over again. And the more that I fought, the more that I complain and I struggle, then the more challenging it got, and the suffering just increased. Until one day I said, oh, I can't do this. I surrender. I give up. I'm not fighting this anymore. And in that moment, I just took a deep breath and I just let everything go. And that day for me was kind of pivotal, and it was quite important because that's when I learned how to surrender. And I think for me, I wanted to share that because for anyone who is working on themselves, for anyone who is suffering, trying to change their habits or aspects of themselves or to let go and improve, this is so key and critical. And until that moment where I gave everything up and I fully let go and I surrendered to that process, in that moment I was able to come with a new mindset, and it introduced me to humility. And my cup was not so full. And by emptying that cup, I was able to hear what the teaching monks were able to teach me. I was able to go along with the schedule. Was it challenging? Yes, of course it was challenging, but it was just not fighting it. And I noticed that the difference was then I started to be able to see myself more neutrally. I started to recognize my patterns. I started to see silver linings in things and to integrate and to gain the perspective of the teaching that I was not able to access before because I had this big wall. So I just wanted to take this time to share it because many of the people out there, maybe you can feel stuck or get stuck in this, but it's just to not control so much and do what you need to do. Do the intervention, try the tools, use the modalities that are helpful for you, and then let the process take effect. And many times the hindrance that and the obstacle that gets in our way is because we're trying to make it logical, and we're trying to use the brain, and we're trying to control things. But I would say when you're on a healing journey, many of the things are not logical and they don't make sense, but just keep doing good and keep purifying your mind and allow it to change naturally. And one of the things that our teaching monk in the forest always teach us, and he says to remember that nature is best. Let things happen naturally. You do what you can control, you do your part and you meet it halfway, and then nature will assist you and do what it does best. So hopefully this is helpful for someone on your own spiritual path, but just a nugget of wisdom that I just wanted to share. So hope you all are well, and sending you all my blessings from the United States. Satu.